So last week we had taken down the planted tank to start a new reef tank. And this week we're taking down the tank again. All right, so I have to give you guys some background story on what's going on. So about a month ago, I actually noticed some electrical issues with my house. So one day when I was turning on the fan in the living room, I tripped the breakers, which shut down pretty much all electrical lighting in the living room. At the time, I didn't really think of anything. I went outside, just reset the breaker, and went back inside and just, continue with the day. And throughout the weeks, I started noticing that it happened more frequently. Every time I would turn on and off this fan twitch, there was a potential that it would just trip the breakers. It was actually happening so frequently that once a day I would have to reset the breakers. So I went ahead and scheduled actually an electrician to come out just to check out what's going on. Luckily, the house is new, so it's under warranty. They're scheduled to come out Wednesday, so we're gonna have to wait to see, what's causing this. And I'm really thinking that it's probably the wiring on the fan side. So back to the reason why I'm draining the tank. So I'm draining the tank just because if there was an issue with the outlet in the back of the tank, the electrician needs to actually access that outlet. The way I have the tank set up right now, it's kind of like a crawl in the back there, and you can kind of barely reach it with your hands. So I kind of just, try to center the tank as much as possible while giving me room to kind of access back there. But there's no way to go back there and unscrew the outlet with like a screwdriver and then like pull it out and do some tests or check the wires just because it's too tight back there. And obviously with a tank filled with water and a 54 gallon, there's no way you can move the tank or even shimmy the tank by yourself. It's just a huge risk of, you can either cracking or damaging the tank or the stand or the floors. So I decided, let's just go ahead and drain the tank and then we can just move it just in case if he needs access back there. So I was thinking to myself, I spent a whole day last week filling this tank up with RODI water. It just takes, forever to fill up, a tank this large with RODI water, and I didn't really want to spend another day down the road to fill up this whole tank. So I needed to figure out how I can store all of this water I had in the tank temporarily so that I can just kind of move it out there and then move it back in. And luckily, a few weeks ago, when I kind of tore down one of the rack system, I kept one of the low boys. It's a 50 gallon. So right now that low boy is actually completely empty. So I decided to just kind of transfer the whole water into that system or into that tank, and then the remaining water into the sump that's kind of empty down there. So luckily I actually had space to store all this water, or else I would have had to start from scratch. That would have sucked because not only is the RODI water, I also put some salt into the tank. So yeah, that would have sucked if I just lost money in terms of the salt and then the RODI water. It does kind of suck with the delays in terms of the cycling of the tank and setting up the tank. But hey, things happen, and I'd rather have this fixed now than down the road when this tank is actually established and I have to actually move stuff in and out. That would definitely suck. So while we're outside in the garage, on the previous video, I did mention that I wanted to start some breeding projects, and I wanted to share with you guys some of the tanks that I kind of set up out here. I do have like basically 4 tanks. 2 of them right now are actually occupied with breeding projects. So the first one is the Autumn Angelfish pair. I had to kind of guess which ones were male or female because I couldn't really tell which ones were which, but this is kind of a best guess kind of thing. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to kind of swap out the other 3 that I have inside. Kind of swap them around just to see, which ones are the male and which ones are the female. So I'll probably give them a few weeks. If there's no real activity, then I'll probably swap them out. But basically, it's a bare bottom tank with a breeder cone and a sponge filter with some media in the back just to kind of seed the tank initially. And I did throw in some almond leaves just to kind of keep the tank kind of with a small hint of tannins just to see it will help promote breeding. The second tank that I have going is part of the plecos that are outside. These are the L138 Starlight plecos. I had some success last year towards the end of the year around December. I had a bunch of like Starlight pleco fry. Sadly, they didn't make it. I think by transferring them from a established system to another system, it probably shocked them, or it didn't it didn't work out and they pretty much died. So I wanted to give them a try in terms of breeding these guys. I know I have a lot of females and males in the tank. I'm not sure which ones were the ones that were breeding. So I went ahead and just grabbed two, fairly large males, threw them in the tank with two separate caves, and then I threw one female in the tank just to kind of see if that would entice them to breed. Same setup here, basically a sponge filter and some almond leaves and some biomedia just on the floor. I'm doing pretty much like a 50% water change on a weekly basis to kind of just help promote better water quality, maybe like, promote them to breed. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, and that is the update for the week. I pretty much spent most of my weekend just tearing down that 54-gallon tank to, get ready for the electrician to come out this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's update. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And like always, until next time, guys, peace.